Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Julia talks about her visit to the fertility clinic with her family on 90 Day Fiancé. Happily ever after? Julia Trubkina has never been one to hold back her emotions on 90 Day Fiancé. Happily ever after! And her visit to the fertility clinic with Brandon and his parents gave fans a raw glimpse into the complexity of her journey. What began as a simple checkup quickly transformed into one of the most emotional and deeply personal storylines she has ever shared on television. When Julia first stepped into the clinic, her nerves were visible. She twisted her hands together, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, as if the sterile white walls around her were closing in. Cameras caught every flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, every half-smile she offered to Brandon in an attempt to appear strong. In her confessionals, Julia admitted that she had been avoiding this visit for months, scared of what the doctors might say and how her future could change forever. The fertility conversation had been bubbling under the surface for a while. Julia often voiced her frustration about being pressured into parenthood sooner than she wanted. Brandon's parents, Betty and Ron, have always made it clear that grandchildren are part of their dream for the family farm. They never miss a chance to remind the young couple that time doesn't stand still. But Julia, still carving out her identity as a young woman in America, wasn't sure she wanted to rush into motherhood just yet. Still, curiosity and lingering questions pushed her to schedule the appointment. She wanted answers. Could she become a mother when she was ready? Would her health allow her to wait a few years? Or was she in danger of running out of time sooner than she realized? These questions sat heavy on her heart as she waited for the doctor to call her name. The cameras captured Brandon reaching over to squeeze her hand. His boyish smile, the one that first caught Julia's attention years ago, was full of reassurance. Yet Julia's voiceover revealed the depth of her conflict. "I love Brandon, and maybe one day I want family," she admitted. "But what if doctor says something bad? What if my body not ready for baby? I feel scared because it means big decision for our future." When the nurse finally called them back, Julia's breath caught in her throat. The exam room was just as intimidating as she imagined. Gleaming instruments, posters of fetal development on the walls, and the faint smell of antiseptic. She sat on the edge of the chair, shoulders tense, while Brandon sat beside her with a mixture of curiosity and worry. The doctor entered with a calm smile, setting the tone for what could have been an overwhelming conversation. She asked Julia about her medical history, lifestyle, and family background. Julia answered honestly, but couldn't hide her nerves. She joked in her charming, slightly broken English to ease the tension, but the weight of the visit lingered. Then came the tests. Blood work, an ultrasound, and a thorough consultation. Cameras respectfully cut away during the most private moments, but the show returned to Julia's face as she clutched Brandon's hand tightly. It was clear that every beep of the monitor and every word from the doctor carried a gravity she wasn't prepared for. When the doctor finally sat down with the couple, Julia's world seemed to pause. The physician explained that, while Julia was healthy, there were a few concerns that could complicate her fertility in the future. Nothing immediate, but enough to warrant serious consideration if they wanted children one day. Julia's eyes welled with tears. She had expected reassurance, maybe even a clean bill of health that would allow her to put the issue on the back burner for a few years. Instead, she was faced with the reality that decisions about motherhood might come sooner than she ever imagined. In her confessional, Julia's voice cracked. "This is so hard for me. I don't know what I want. I want to dance, I want to travel, I want to live. But doctors say maybe it's not so simple. I feel like my choice is being taken away, and I hate this feeling." The moment became even more complicated when Brandon's parents joined them after the appointment. Betty, who has been openly vocal about wanting grandchildren, seemed almost relieved that the conversation was happening now. She tried to frame it as a positive, an opportunity to start planning and thinking seriously about family. But Julia didn't take it that way. Her frustration boiled over. Cameras captured her sharp words as she told Betty and Ron that this wasn't just about them, or even about Brandon. This was her body, her future, her life. You not the one who carry baby. You not the one who give up dream. This is my choice, she said with conviction, her accent thickening as her emotions grew stronger. Brandon, caught in the middle, tried to mediate. He reminded his parents that they needed to respect Julia's feelings, but he also admitted privately that he wanted kids one day. His confession was gentle, almost hesitant, but it underscored the delicate balance between his loyalty to Julia and his own hopes for the future. The episode ended with Julia walking out of the clinic, wiping tears from her face. The camera followed her into the parking lot, where she finally allowed herself to break down. She admitted that she felt overwhelmed, torn between fear and love, responsibility and freedom. I don't know what will happen. Maybe I can be mother, maybe I cannot. But today, I feel like everything changed. I see future different now, and I must decide who I want to be before I can decide if I want to be mother, she said in her closing confessional. Fans watching at home flooded social media with support, many sharing their own stories of fertility struggles and the pressure women face from family expectations. Julia's vulnerability struck a chord, turning what could have been just another reality TV subplot into a deeply human moment that resonated far beyond the show. For Julia, the visit to the fertility clinic was more than just a doctor's appointment. It was a turning point in her journey on 90-day Fiancé, happily ever after. It forced her to confront the future she had been avoiding, challenged her relationship with Brandon, and reopened old wounds with his parents. Most importantly, it gave viewers an intimate look at a woman wrestling with choices that are as universal as they are personal. The road ahead remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: Julia's story has only just begun, and whether she decides to embrace motherhood or forge another path, she will do it with the same fiery passion and honesty that fans have come to admire. Julia sat in the back seat of the car, her hands folded tightly in her lap as Brandon drove them toward the fertility clinic. The Virginia morning was gray, a low mist clinging to the rolling hills outside the window. Beside her, Betty and Ron sat like anxious co-pilots, their chatter filling the silence Brandon tried to maintain. Julia's mind, though, was a swirl of questions, nerves, and the weight of cameras capturing every flicker of expression on her face. "Julia, this is important," Betty reminded her gently but firmly, like she had been rehearsing this line all week. "If you want children, you have to know what your options are. Don't wait until it's too late." Julia turned toward the window, watching a barn disappear behind them. "Maybe I'm not ready yet," she murmured, her Russian accent thickening as emotion cracked her voice. "But everybody keeps asking. My body, my choice." "Yes." Brandon, hands tight on the steering wheel, sighed. He hated being stuck between his wife and his parents. Yet here they all were again, the dynamic as messy as ever. "We're just going to talk to the doctor," he said. "That's all. Nobody's forcing you to do anything." But Julia knew better. On 90-day Fiancé, happily ever after, nothing was just talking. Every doctor visit, every family conversation, every tear spilled in a car became a storyline, a debate, a flashpoint for viewers to dissect. And this topic, babies, fertility, her future as a wife, wasn't just a storyline. It was her life. The clinic itself was modern, bright, almost too sterile. A nurse welcomed them with a polite smile, clearly aware she was walking into a family circus complete with TLC cameras. Julia clutched the clipboard of forms, filling out questions about cycles, family history, and future plans. She felt exposed, like the walls themselves were whispering, "Well, when are you having children?" Betty leaned over. "Honey, do you want help answering some of those? Maybe Brandon should." "No." Julia snapped, hugging the clipboard to her chest. "I can write myself. I am not baby. You all treat me like I'm still, what? 17. The tension was already brewing before they were even called back. The doctor, a calm woman with kind eyes, welcomed them into her office. "So," she said, glancing at the chart, "you're here today to talk about fertility planning. Julia, tell me in your own words what brings you in." Julia hesitated. The cameras were rolling. Her in-laws were staring. Brandon sat silently, his face unreadable. Finally, she exhaled. "I don't know if I want children right now," she admitted. "Maybe someday. Maybe not. But everyone around me makes me feel like I must decide today, this year, before I even live my life." The doctor nodded. "That's very common. A lot of women feel pressure from family or culture. Part of my job is to help you understand your timeline. It's not about rushing, it's about giving you information so you can make the choice that feels right for you." Julia felt something inside her unclench. For once, here was someone not demanding, not pushing, not sighing like she was a disappointment. Just information. Just science. But Betty couldn't resist. "We just want to be grandparents, doctor," she blurted out, laughing nervously. "You know how it is. Time goes by so fast."